Hello, come in, come in, come in.
Come on in the room.
Come on in the room. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Come on in. It's time for Laugh and Learn with Flame Monroe, Nick Smith, and Laureen Hogan. And
Yes,
Lauren
indeed.
Hogan. Hello, Marky Mark. I was trying to look up. We were trying to mirror the TV, but Lauren is completely now. She has so many hats that she's wearing for this show since dealing with me. I'm just letting y'all know. Manager, co-host,
Audio engineer,
oxtail bringer, all that.
It's been a lot. Well, let's welcome everybody to Laugh and Learn officially. As you can see, we have a bit of a different setting going on today.
We're under construction. Kind of
Yes.
like me. We under construction. We fixing it.
Yes, everything will be fixed hopefully by next week. And then we might have some new signage in another 2 or 3 weeks.
Yeah.
And it'll be the official setup that y'all are going to get.
So we are under construction. To work with us. The mouth and the man ain't stopped, but the backdrop is different. And we still have our Kindle and our Tribble. So ain't
Yes,
much
we
changed but the diaphragm.
The team is still the team.
Uh-huh.
So-
Some of us gained a little weight.
Oh, was that subliminal? You know what? I ate some tacos yesterday. I cooked. I'm happy.
She ate a lot of tacos yesterday.
Whatever.
And she had tacos this morning.
I didn't eat any this morning. I just had my smoothie because I knew you was going to talk about me. So I didn't set myself up for that trap.
Hello, Flamettes. Welcome to Laugh and Learn. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. It's good somewhere because we look good, we smell good. I feel good. Look.
You got to get the little touch.
She always touching me. So we're going to have a great show today. We got some major topics. We're going to bring in our partner because, you know, some things happened this week in the news. Some names we will mention and some names we won't.
Exactly.
So this is Black History Month, which is almost over with, the 22nd day of February. And I want to acknowledge 2 Black historians. One would be Misty Copeland.
Oh, okay.
So Lauren can talk more about Misty Copeland. And I want to say the other one before I forget, because you know I forget. It's Harriet Tubman. So we'll start with Misty Copeland because Lauren is a technically trained dancer. She's a Dada, which is a Debbie Allen Dance Academy. She is a Dada for years.
Yeah.
So Lauren really can dance, y'all. Lauren can kick to the top of this garage. Let me just let y'all know.
I can. Yeah, it's a huge milestone. And the first Black ballerina, let's say in a major company in the U.S. was actually Lauren Anderson, and she danced for Houston Ballet. But Misty Copeland, it was a huge milestone for her in that American Ballet Theater has been around for, years. The exact number, I'm not sure, but she was the first Black ballerina to ever be the principal dancer for the company. And it's a huge milestone to have, Black ballerinas in general. It's hard. Because to be a ballerina, you have to have a certain shape, a certain build. In Russia, for instance, when you're like 9 years old, they literally assess you to see if you have the body to be a ballerina. So Black women in general, we're everything from A to Z. So to finally have someone who doesn't fit the stereotypic mold, she's very muscular, she's got boobs. It was just an exciting sight to see. And she's done so much to really engage young Black women to say, and little girls too, to say, you can do this as well.
Nice.
She's transcended and broken barriers. She's been the face for Armour, the fitness brand. She's written children's books. She's performed at the Grammys. She was Prince's muse. She just encompasses so many different things. So the simple fact, that she finally got that recognition to say, hey, I'm the first Black ballerina for the American Ballet Theater, which has been typically, I'm going to be honest, is a racist company. It was huge. It really was. So
congratulations and hats off to Misty Copeland. I think, Lauren, I first became aware of her after watching So You Think You Can Dance. For those of us who don't know the history of dance, I think more often than not, that's one of the areas where we're made familiar with some of the people who dance.
Nicholas, you were a fan of that show too. You love the host. Oh my God, you called me jump up and down.
Her.
Nicholas loved her. Oh
But
my
it
God,
sounds so corny. It sounds because my mother loves So You Think You Can Dance, and what's the Dance with the Stars? And I'm like, Mom, nobody watches that. She's like, I love my Dance with the Stars. You're gonna leave my Dance with the Stars alone. And some of them have gone on or either started with. So she knew some of them. She's like, oh, so and so's on So You Think You Can Dance. Now they're Dancing with the Stars star.
I love Dancing with the Stars too. Dancing with the Stars. I love y'all. Look, I love y'all. Nick, Misty Copeland to me, because Lauren, what you said about boobs, because I know they want a ballerina, a principal ballerina, to be pretty much like a 12-year-old boy, like a stick figure, like straight up and down. No, seriously. No booty, no enhancement.
Yeah.
Because what you are is the representation of whatever their dance is. So you really are invisible as the character. You're just presenting the character. They don't want to see you as that person. So you could be drop dead gorgeous, beautiful. It's not like people are not going to see that.
Whether you're, playing Black Swan or the Swan from Swan Lake, it's Giselle, whatever that character is, you definitely have to emulate it.
I would have been a horrible ballerina. All this booty and these titties, nobody would have been able to pick my big ass up. The Black Swan, the Black Crush, because I would have fell straight down on that.
I mean, and honestly, that's part of the reason why I didn't necessarily want to become a ballerina, because one, I was always worrying about my weight, and just personally, my weight goes up and down. We've joked about it on the show. But also, too, I didn't like taking class, which is so important. It's a part of your foundation. If you don't go to class, you can't perform. And I just wanted to be in rehearsal, and I wanted to be on stage, and that just didn't fit the mold. I also didn't want to live paycheck to paycheck either and have that dance life struggle. I wanted some more stability in my life. But it's all of those things. It's a lot to be a dancer and have to, upkeep with your body and the injuries. And it's a lot. It really is. So, and that was my whole life from 5 until 22.
Wow. So that's just 2 years ago.
Yeah.
I respect the art of dance. I respect the discipline that comes with dance. And I only know this from doing the campaign with you guys last year.
Well, you saw me get up and dance.
Yeah, I saw Lauren get, but I saw those kids diligently rehearse and rehearse and rehearse. And I was like, I'm done. Let me tell you why those kids love me so much, because I was the star of the show. When I said, I need 10 minutes for the bathroom, guess what? Everybody got to get a break because I got 10 minutes for the bathroom. They fucking love me.
Flame, you also mentioned Harriet Tubman. What made Harriet Tubman come to mind today?
The sheer story of determination. Black woman saving the day way back in the 1860s before recognition, why they talking about they don't want to put her on the $20 bill. A black woman saved the day. I just personally, my joke is I think that Harriet Tubman was the first trans man, because they was looking for a black woman. I think Harriet was quite masculine looking, because she got away over and over and over. Hats off to you, Harriet, because I wouldn't have came back and got nobody. On their own. I ain't coming back to get nobody. I'm not. The lash and me, let me tell you, I never like to be spanked. I never like to be hit. I never like nobody put their hands on me. I know I would have been a horrible slave. God, I would have told on everybody.
And honestly, I don't know if it's an interesting to watch, but you don't know if you're going to be able to survive that too. I don't know what that mental capacity took, that due diligence, that strive. I don't know what that was like back then. So,
Lauren,
this is why it's about determination, Nick. I'm
exactly.
Sorry.
And no, that works, Flame, because that's what this is. I think this is all why we recognize the platform we have. We stand on the shoulders of giants. We really do. And it's one of those moments where, we have a month to celebrate, but every day is worthy of recognizing the accomplishments of our ancestors, because our predecessors endured things that we sit here and say, I don't know if I could have taken it. You think they wanted to take it? They did what they needed to do in that moment to survive and be with them families and lean on faith. So yes, absolutely. My shout out kind of ties into that, Flame. I want to recognize this for Black History as well, because you all know earlier this week, I was trapped out of town, couldn't travel. I woke up in my hotel, middle of the night. Literally, I felt like the spirit called me, turned on TV, and a program was on called The Black Church, This Is Our History on PBS. Don't know, hadn't heard anything about it. And all it did was just talk about the history of the Black church and what it means for the community. You guys, they went over everything from the Hawkins family to Pastor Eddie Hawkins. Flame, you and I have talked about Tremaine Hawkins and Sylvester and the tie to the church and how all of it is just tied together into our history. So my shout out is for everybody to try to catch that if they can. And I believe it's narrated by Skip Gates. So it's fantastic on PBS. The Black Church.
The Black Church. All you Bible toting thumpers on here, all you Christians on here, and all you what they call it, Bible Belt folks on here right now. When y'all say gays don't go to church, if they don't, it ain't no choir. I promise you, it's always a sissy in church, and there's always a sissy in choir. Usually the choir director. Let me just say it out loud. Mm-hmm. Lauren, what's this Black history? What Black historian represents for you this week?
I mean,
it's so many.
Misty Copeland. I mean, you kind of took the bait for me, because I know we kind of talked about that.
Well, what about Judith Jamerson? Did you ever meet her?
You know what? It's so interesting that you mentioned Judith Jamerson.
So tell them who Judith Jamerson is.
Judith Jamerson was one of the baddest dancers, I have to say. Black, tall drink of water at Alvin Ailey. Miss Allen, she's my mentor. We've talked about her, Debbie Allen. She always compared me to her.
Oh, wow.
And so it's so interesting that you say that, because I would be in class and I was always tall. I have really long legs, and I was really insecure about my height when I was younger, to the point that I would kind of like close myself off when I was dancing, so that way I could kind of blend in more. And I always had to do more. Like, I had to be a step ahead of everybody because I had more to move always. So Miss Allen used to always be like, Miss Thing, think of Judith Jamerson and kick them legs up. If you kick somebody, so what? Kick them. They'll move out the way. You have to be long. You have to be tall. She was like, do you know how many times I danced next to Judith Jamerson and I just wanted to have her height and her leg and her reach? So that was always an example that she gave to me. So that's part of the reason why I love her so dearly. She really encourages you to be your best self. So it's so interesting you brought up Judith Jamerson.
I love Judith Jamerson. I want to sit there.
I love that, Lauren.
I've seen the weight in the water and everything. Let me tell you what I loved about Judith Jamerson. She was a grand diva. Like she walked in like very Cicely Tyson. Rest in peace, Cicely Tyson. Always seemed grand. Her presence was always.
Yeah,
I'm a queen. I'm grand. I'm watch me. Very, very what's the black Jesse Norman, the opera singer.
Yes.
Or Leontine Price. They have this grand presence. Like, I'm in the room, nothing else is in here.
This goes back to something else you always talk about too. I think it's that confidence, right? That if you can instill that confidence in a person, and a person who walks into a room, like, you can't tell me anything. And it's not arrogance. It's a confidence where they're comfortable in their spirit. They're comfortable in their body, and it just moves and it shows. Absolutely. Two more things I want to make sure we touch on before we go to our topics today. I want to talk about, I also want to recognize for Black History quickly, Regina King. We touched on this before, but Regina King just made history. Golden Globes making history, nominating 3 female directors, and Regina King for being nominated for One Night in Miami. So I still haven't had a chance to check that out, but I want to give Regina a shout out too, because I know we all love her as well.
And she hosted Saturday Night Live for the first time. So
gotcha. Awesome.
Yeah, so congrats to her, and I think her directing career is really kicking off.
Good.
So I'm really excited for her.
I'm proud of you, Brenda, girl. I've been watching you since you was Brenda on 227. Who would have thought? It just goes to show you that if you stay in it and you stay focused and you got people around you to keep you lifted up, look how far she has come from playing Little Brenda on 227. Wow.
Absolutely.
I just want the Cadillac commercial. Shit, I want a big old Cadillac truck. I just want, you can have all that other shit. I just want the Cadillac commercial.
We talked about it earlier. We kind of alluded to it. We've had a couple of celebrity losses in the last week, and I want to recognize 2 of them. Larry Flint, and I say that simply, we know him as Hustler Magazine, but Larry Flint really was a leader in free speech in so many ways because he challenged and took his case to the Supreme Court. And someone I was not familiar with, ladies, Johnny Pacheco. And the reason this stuck with me, Johnny Pacheco, who is a Dominican musician, I know we have a huge Hispanic community, and so many people are Latino who follow us and are from the islands. But I guess Johnny Pacheco was a Dominican musician considered to be the godfather of salsa. And this is what got me. He's famous for popularizing Latin music and made a star of Celia Cruz. My Celia Cruz story, I remember because, I remember seeing this beautiful black woman who was, full figured and everything there. And I remember saying to my mom, it blew my mind because she didn't speak English. She spoke Spanish. And I'm like, Mom, how can a black woman do that? And my mom was like, because, babe, she's from the islands. Yeah, she's not black. And I'm like, but as a kid, you don't know. And so all that to say, it was just one of those things, just this beautiful woman who, was, I believe, help me, you guys, I think Celia Cruz was Cuban. Okay, but just amazing. So yes, that was the shout out I wanted to give to Mr. Pacheco.
Yeah, and I think that's interesting too, because like my mom grew up in New York, so she's always been aware of the melting pot of, the black community, whether, or Afro-Latina or whatever you are. Yep. So she's always kind of had the eye to be able to identify who's who. But I think that's also important to talk about too, because a lot of people don't understand that, black comes in like 50 million different shades. It's not just one shade, you know what I mean? And we all have different backgrounds. We all have different, genetic makeup, but that's what makes us so special and so authentic. So I love that you kind of had that revelation too, Nick.
Flame's comedy colleague, Ada Rodriguez does a show called Truth Serum, and she literally just did a whole piece on Afro-Latina and how she even is aware of her privilege being lighter. And she's like, we come in every shade. She has members of her family who she says are darker than me. So that's just another example of how many different shades we come as people of color. So, yep.
Miss Celia Cruz was one of the first women to make the shoes that look like the heels that looked like it didn't have a heel. It cut away. A and B. I used to do drag shows, and when the Latin girls would do bump, the whole bar would erupt. Mm-hmm. Oh my God! All the Latino people in the place would go berserk. I thought it was a riot. I almost grabbed my shit and ran out one day. And so it dun, baby, all the Latino people go crazy. You know who else they do that for? Selena. Oh my God.
Oh, yes.
Selena is like, her fans are like the Beehive. Mm-hmm. Say something wrong about Selena. The Latin people will cook you in a pot. I've seen it done. I've had some. It was tasty.
Between Selena's voice and that body, she was, just phenomenal.
So, yeah. So rest in peace, Mr. Larry Flint and Mr. Johnny Pacheco. But not everyone is, worthy of us talking about. So, yes.
What do you do in a situation like that?
We lost some other people this week. I'm not going to say no names because their names need not be mentioned on this platform. But in the words of the late poet, the great Mark Twain, I'm going to try to quote it perfectly. He said that I have never wished a man dead, but I've read many obituaries that have given me joy. The obituary ain't even out, but I'm smiling like a Cheshire cat.
Oh, my God. You guys, I know our Flamettes are ready to sound off because, Flame, you gave everybody homework. And before we get to their homework assignment, do we need to recognize how people have been sounding off on the internet about Joe Biden having lied and the latest with Ted Cruz and Governor Cuomo?
So first of all, let's start with Ted Cruz, because I know people are going to drag him in the comments, because I feel like we need to also have a clarifying conversation around Biden. But let's just discuss, Nick, if you can just remind us all what exactly Ted Cruz did this past week that have people in an uproar.
Well, Ted Cruz did what I did, but I'm not a representative senator for the state during the middle of a crisis.
Touche, Nicholas, touche.
So Mr. Cruz chose to go where it was warmer and vacation for a bit because the conditions at home were uncomfortable. Well, guess what? Mr. Cruz happens to represent a constituency in Texas who expects him to be there and hopefully fighting for them during difficult times. Mr. Cruz chose to jump on a plane and go to Cancun with his family. And not only that, after being confronted, Mr. Cruz blamed his daughter for the reason he was down there. Now, mind you, he, his wife, his daughter, we now know they invited a couple of friends with whom he had gone to college with. So this was not a spontaneous moment like he later said, I just went down to make sure they got there safely. Mr. Cruz was outed by the media for not being in town in the middle of a crisis while many Texans are still suffering. And it's difficult because Texas loves to moderate and legislate a woman's uterus, but will not legislate and moderate a solid water and electricity supply in the time of a crisis. That's something that needs to be looked at. That's it.
Mm-hmm. And Ted Cruz, it's not even, I kind of made a comment when I first saw everything that was happening in the media. I was like, is he really that stupid or is he really just that arrogant? And I had to take a second and realize Ted Cruz is actually really not stupid. It's no different when he made the comment when Joe Biden rejoined the Paris Accord, and he went and said, this is going to take away thousands of jobs from people living in Pittsburgh. And so Ted Cruz intentionally does things that's, it exhibits that he doesn't care about his people. He doesn't care about his community. Hell, he doesn't care about his family because he let Trump talk major crap about his wife. And then now he just blamed his daughter for going to Cancun.
Come on with it.
So, and then on top of that, the coup de grace is he left his dog outside
That's the
in the
worst
snow.
Fucking part that you can do to white folks.
I'm literally
you left the goddamn dog in the cold house. You know white people love their dogs. Oh my God.
So I really hope that this is the coup de grace for him to not be reelected, because I think he's up for reelection in 2024. Because so 2024. So I hope in 2 years, Texans, you remember all that Ted Cruz did and how he left y'all hanging and left his dog out in the cold and blamed his daughter for what he did, and don't reelect him.
And let's break that down. Let's break those three things down. Because, nigga, you left the dog. Let me start with that.
You left the dog in the cold.
Y'all had more conniption about, what was the name? Crazy Karen in Central Park over the dog than you did over the black man, because she's dragging the dog around, swinging him around and shit like it was a piece of candy. Y'all were more angry about that. Second of all, y'all knew Ted Cruz wasn't shit. What Lauren just said. He allowed Donald Trump to disrespect his wife publicly in his face and call her ugly, and then you still jumped on his camp. Then, nigga, you turn around and sell out your kid and say you were going on a vacation because your daughter wanted to go. Understand that the DNA of this person is not the DNA of a man. This is the DNA of a coward. Lauren says she thinks that he knows what he's doing. I disagree. I knew the nigga was batshit crazy when he stood on the Senate floor, or the Congress floor, and talked for 24 hours about green eggs and ham. First of all, I read that book when I was 4. Second of all, if the eggs is green and the ham ain't brown, pink, nigga, I don't want it. You give it to your mom. I'm sorry. Give it to your wife or your daughter, since you blame them for everything else. You should have left it with the dog since you left them in the cold. I'm just saying. I said it.
And I think the coup de grace for me today was I was watching the Senate hearing for Merrick Garland to become AG for Joe Biden, and Ted Cruz had the floor, and he had the nerve to say, you know, he basically tried to say that Eric Holder, who is Obama's former attorney general, sat in his confirmation rather, and said he would be bipartisan and he wouldn't be, you know, for his party or whatever the situation may be. So Ted Cruz had the nerve to sit there and basically shame Eric Holder and talk crap about Eric Holder, saying that he didn't uphold his values of the Constitution in terms of, you know, not being bipartisan. You're supposed to remain apolitical. But I'm like, did you forget what Barr did?
Yeah.
So he's very hypocritical. I'm just really over Ted Cruz in general. But, Nick, go ahead.
I think Ted Cruz has really upset a lot of people. And for the record, going on the record, Merrick Garland will be confirmed. Not even, even worried about
hopefully,
it.
Hopefully the people who has been affected the most by Texas right now, I mean by Cruz, which is Texas, will get y'all asses up and vote, because he can only vote for himself one time. Yeah. Y'all keep voting for him, and I'm not blaming y'all, but yeah, y'all got to get him out. If y'all want to do better, y'all got to vote and do better, which will go on to the Biden lie, because had we changed the Senate, Biden's hands would not be as tied as they are. They're trying to railroad him the same way they did Barack Obama and pigeonhole him to where he only have limited power. We have to change the Senate to more people that look and think like us. Even Republicans, it's not all bad Republicans. They just got a bad rap right now because of Trump. But all Republicans are not bad. But
what was the lie that Biden supposedly told?
That's what I need to know.
The lie supposedly, that we were not going to get the $15 an hour for minimum wage, and that they changed the income bracket, I think, for the $1,400 stimulus checks. But Mitch McConnell is still on a mission and in enough power with you all listening to what this fool who is no longer the president, he still segueing them. And y'all should be blaming them other senators. We had 43 for us, and what it was 47, 53, right? 47. We needed more senators, Republican senators, to join with us and stop being afraid. They are terrified of whatever power this fool holds over them, and the collateral damage is the American people, i.e., I'm an American person.
This is my issue, and I don't think people are going to like what I have to say.
And Biden ain't lied.
I'm going to say, this is my issue. The problem I think that we have, well, I'll speak specifically to the Democratic Party because I'm a part of the Democratic Party. I vote Democrat. The problem that I have, and I think this is similar to the conversation that we had around Lori Lightfoot, we as a party are so quick to attack each other and I understand holding us accountable, but we're so quick to attack each other if something doesn't happen quick enough, or, you know, we're going to criticize each other. All that does is give more credibility to the Republicans or, you know, the far right, whoever we're going to, you know, put them over there with. It only gives them more credibility when it comes up time for re-elections to happen, for us not to get into office. So my issue is Joe Biden has been in office for all of 30 days, a little over 30 days. And y'all are mad already, like, oh my God, he hasn't done this fast enough. He hasn't done this fast enough. It took George Bush, because everybody forgets how bad of a president George Bush was. It took him 8 years to lead us into a recession. And it took Barack Obama 8 years to lift us out of it. And yes, people can argue that Obama didn't do everything that he promised. but ain't none of y'all been president. So chill out. One, y'all have no idea what that office holds. Y'all have no idea what's on his plate every day and the myriad of things that he has to combat. Yes, we elected him, but give Joe Biden at least a year. He hasn't even gotten his whole cabinet together yet. Mm-hmm. And y'all are mad trying to criticize him. And all that's going to do in 4 years when they get somebody else in the Republican Party to be the nominee, whether it's not Trump, y'all are going to give that person credibility to come with the strategy to say, well, look what Joe Biden did. And all these Democrats were upset about it. Chill out.
Chill out. Tell them, Lauren.
Last thing I want to hit on. Chill out.
Wait a minute, Nick. Did you hear what she said? She said, it's a lot on his plate. You don't know what's on his plate. We knew what was on that last president's plate. McDonald's. This nigga ate McDonald's.
How the hell you say not a damn thing because he didn't do nothing except screw up this country.
Let me tell you something.
But don't forget, Flame, he held up Taco Bell for Cinco de Mayo. So
Joe Biden ain't lied. Joe Biden has tried, and he's going to continue to try. We have to work with him. I completely agree with what Lauren said. We always so quick. He is not Helen Keller. He is not a miracle worker. He's just one man, and he did win, and we voted for him to win. So we have to have a little more patience to let him get into this job. When you start your new job, it's a learn by doing process. Shit, we still trying to learn how to hook up this damn equipment. But you need to, it's a learn by doing process, and you have to have patience to work with the people. Y'all too quick to this cancel culture and what has not been done. Stop. I'm back to Kennedy. Ask not what your president can do for you. Ask what you can do for your damn president. We should be upholding him. All the negativity in this country with this whole coronavirus bull crap. We need to really stand behind him, and we're gonna have to be on the roller coaster of mistakes and on the successes of this presidency, because this is who we chose. This who we chose. We talked about it for weeks before it happened, months. This is who we chose. Let's work with this party. And I'm talking to the Democrats, because Republicans mad about everything. They just mad. They know they fucked up putting that nigga in position to be their spokesperson. So they still mad. I'm talking to the Democrats. Have some patience. Back it up. Pull out.
And I'll say this. The one thing that y'all can be mad, that I'm kind of mad about the Democrats about, is the impeachment managers that ran Donald Trump's impeachment. I'm upset with them. If y'all want to be mad at somebody, be mad at them, because I feel like they didn't do their due diligence to really get the votes that they needed in terms of bringing witnesses forward. You know, they subpoenaed Donald Trump, and he said, well, I'm not complying. I don't know any other American that gets subpoenaed and can just say, I'm not coming, and not get arrested and put in jail. So if y'all want to be mad at some Democrats, be mad at the impeachment managers that they didn't do all that they could have to really get Donald Trump impeached for the second time.
I think with that, I'm just going to say this. I think that was a tough road to hoe. I think that many walked in already having decided how they were going to vote, regardless of the amount of evidence put forward. What I did think that they did, unlike the first impeachment, I felt like this was less of a show and more by the numbers and straight to the point. Like, look, we're not going to belabor the point. I love the way they laid out their case, actually, with the whole timeline of events and what the former president was doing at the time. But I agree with you. I just wish that more could have possibly been done to follow through with witnesses and things like that. Now that we know people definitely want to testify. I want to say this because I know we want to move in and open the floor. Why don't we move Governor Cuomo, as we continue to learn more, to next week? That'll give people a chance to kind of figure out what's happening with that, so that we can give our Flamettes a chance to jump on in there with what you want.
We got some time, Nick. I think we can talk about it.
I don't want to attack Andrew Cuomo, only because y'all know I love Chris Cuomo. Hi, Chris. I'm going to let y'all have this.
Well, it's not even about attacking. I think that what we can say is that Governor Cuomo had been front and center during much of the early stages of the pandemic. And now there are just questions being brought to light about whether or not all the information was presented forward. And I think what I want to say more than anything is that I think we all deserve to have a bit of transparency wherever the science leads, wherever the facts lead. I think that we all want to just know exactly what's happening and the number of people who may have been failed by this virus.
So yeah.
Well, I'll say this, and I may be a little biased because I do like Andrew Cuomo as well. My thing is, he's relying on his scientists and his doctors and his health officials to kind of give him the numbers. Mm-hmm. And I feel like if they didn't have their strategy together and, all of their people accurately, documenting what was happening, he was just relaying the information that he was leaning on his experts for. Yeah. And if his experts kind of failed him, he's going to end up being the sacrificial lamb. Yes. Now, I don't know if that's true or not. Maybe they gave him the information and he didn't do what he needed to do with it. And provide proper insight or, proper explanation around it. But I'm leaning toward my first inkling is that maybe they were the epicenter. They didn't know. Nothing's ever really happened like this in 100 years. They did the best that they could. And, maybe some balls got dropped. And because he is the governor, he's turning into the sacrificial lamb who's being investigated by the FBI now.
And Lauren, can we say this too? Lauren Flame, haven't we always said, own it? I watched Governor Cuomo said, the buck stops with me. I take full responsibility. However this goes, I take full responsibility. I never see a leader step out and do that. I thought that right there was commendable.
Let me tell you, when I knew that Andrew Cuomo was pure, full-on gangster. When he didn't fall in line with this foolishness, when this whole coronavirus came out, and he didn't fall for the Fauci okie doke or the Trump woo woo woo, and he did what he needs to do for his state and his city, that's when I knew, baby, Andrew Cuomo gonna do what he needs to do to take care of his people. He showed care and he agreed. He showed leadership, because everybody ain't got leadership. Because you're in a position to be a boss, you need to act like one. Some people got the title and don't know how to do the job. Trust me when I tell you, mother can do the job. I don't want to be the governor of New York, but I like to live in Manhattan, so Fifth Avenue. I'm just saying.
or former Seneca, like Lauren brought up last week, because hey, they still owe you your 40 acres and a mule.
Well, hello, TT Jan. Ladies and gentlemen, that's TT Jan. She's an affection. We hear you.
We can hear you.
She's affectionately known on this page as TT Jan, even though her name is Waits Williams on Instagram.
So we want to ask you, what are your thoughts on, it could be over all the topics we've discussed, between Ted Cruz, Joe Biden, or Andrew Cuomo? Give us the goods.
Well, for Snake Ted, he knows what he's doing. And that's his only relevance, is making people hate him, because no one can blindly be that dumb. And even his wife supports him on outlandish things. I mean, when you looked at her text messages, she was telling people in their neighborhood that they were getting ready to go. So none of that was by accident. He just thought he could do it. Almost like when Governor Christie took his family to the beach that was supposed to be closed down.
Jan, how's the weather there in St. Louis?
It is beautiful today. It's like 46, almost 50.
Girl, I see that Nelly's mansion is for sale. Let's buy it.
You know, but it is so messed up. I mean, it's so much, he's left it so long, neglected it so long, that it's just a frame of a building. And it's too avant-garde. It's just too much for my palate. But it's in a good part of town. It's by where we have this artificial ski slope called, I can't think of the name of it, but it's a nice spot to be in. I like to buy it and rent it out to two families with Section 8, just for to come up. Yeah. But in the area of town that it is, that would be an ideal spot for our Airbnb. But when you get people who really, really have money, they know how to put their neighborhood covenants on lockdown for stuff like that. I have to worry about the Airbnbs. They don't have to worry about it in that neck of the woods. So.
Well, Jan, we thank you for coming on. We adore you always. That is our TT Jan. And TT Jan, her name is Waits Williams. And TT Jan is also thinking about starting an advice column for you guys. I'm telling you, we've been talking about it.
Right.
And everybody loves you on this page, Jan. And this page is about sharing and caring and teaching. Right. And if you got it to give it to us. Give it to me. I adore it when you come on, because I think it's great. We always get information.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's a virtual hug to all. Blessings. I'll talk to you all later.
Bye, Jan.
Bye.
Hello, beautiful.
Hey, honey.
Oh, why you hiding in the dark? Looking like Erykah Badu. Turn some lights on.
Child, the lights is on. Let's talk about your friend over here that's forced me up into servitude.
You talking about my lawyer, my entertainment attorney? You gonna come up off Mr. John?
Yeah, we're gonna talk about his ass.
We ain't gonna talk about him here. We're gonna talk about after this. Teresa, so I know you've been watching. Let's best sport, dog.
Oh, Look at the baby.
Teresa, I want to ask you a question. I need you. So first of all, let me introduce you guys to Teresa. This is Teresa Griffin, recording artist extraordinaire, entertainer, my friend. I play her music always and have introduced so many of you Flamettes to Teresa Griffin. You know, Naked Soul. That's my CD. That's the one I love. And we play a lot of her music, and you guys are so familiar with her. She does Tea Time on Tuesdays and Thursdays on Facebook and Instagram at 6 p.m. Central Standard Time every Tuesday and Thursday, called Tea Time, when she cooks and sings and all that. Anywho, we're going to get past all that. We'll come back to that. Which Black historian resonates to you, Teresa? And what do you think we're going to do about us attacking Joe Biden, people saying that he lied?
Oh, my goodness. Well, you know, a lot of people don't know how many entertainers are really Black historians. So I'm going to have to start with Eartha Kitt, because she was tossed out of the White House. You know, she was asked to leave before she ate dinner.
For speaking her mind.
Yes, for speaking her mind. And then she went abroad and she made a career for herself, much like Josephine Baker, but in a totally different way, say Simone Darling. And then she came back and won a Tony and did all these other things. So entertainers have fought for so long. Harry Belafonte, you know,
Dorothy Dandridge,
Nina Simone, whose birthday was yesterday.
Yes, Nina Simone on such a large scale. People thought she lost her mind, but truly what it was is she just could not deal with how they treated African American artists and how they wanted us to be silent and just sing and take it. And it broke her heart. It broke her spirit. And so those, I could name several.
Oh, Billie Holiday. They just did a movie about her that the government tried to shut her down for singing Strange Fruit.
Oh my God. And just think how they didn't want her to sing in Carnegie Hall so many times. So many times. So hard she fought to sing there at Carnegie Hall, and how often it broke her heart. You know, they don't know what they went through in order for them to be so disrespectful these days. Oh my God, I could teach.
So, Teresa, you just said something. So, you know what you just said for the young artists and for the artists out here now? We know what privilege feels like, because some of them feel privileged for the work that some of us did way back in the day. So when we say to white people, I want to understand what white privilege is, or when you say people who say they don't understand what privilege is, if you in that situation, then you understand what privilege is, because you're watching somebody who's younger than you, who's not as talented as you, but who has moved in spaces that you have created for them, not recognize you and not respecting you. I'm telling you, it's a double-edged sword if you sit back and pay attention to it.
Oh my God, I think it's
scary.
I agree.
It is huge on so many levels. From Ray Charles, when you think about what Ray Charles went through, how he literally was like, well, I'm not going to play this venue. I'm out of here. The things, so many artists that they can't even name. And for us to be disrespectful to one another, to call each other bitches and hoes.
Well, wait a minute now. Hold on.
No. Not affectionately. I'm not talking about affectionately. I'm talking about disrespectfully. I'm talking about disrespectfully, and how we embrace it and say it's okay. What Rosa Parks and all of those people went through in order for us to not even want to dress respectfully on stage. They don't understand what queen glamour is. They don't understand where queen glamour came from. You know, they don't understand the money that goes into queen glamour and where that came from. You know, how much money goes into queen glamour. The real queen glamour. Don't get me started. So anyway, we can talk about Ted Cruz behind and how people will continue to put inefficient people in office who don't care about them, and wonder why those people still won't care about them. It's like the woman who took the snake home with her because he was froze, because he had all these beautiful colors, and then when he unthawed, he bit him, and then all of a sudden he says, why did you bite me? He said, well, cunt, you knew I was a snake when you took me home. So
that sounds very Adam and Eve. Eve, was that snake frozen? Girl, you knew he was gonna come. You knew it was warm out there in the grass, girl. I don't know why.
but it was something that was big about it. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, it's always a great story. Teresa Griffin, you know we adore you over here.
Yes.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you are not following Teresa Griffin and downloading her music on or buying her music on iTunes, Apple, Spotify, all of that, great singer, can sing anything, has remade Oh Me Oh My, have remade Marvin Gaye's Distant Lover that got, did you get Grammy nominated? Did you get, she won a bunch of awards for it. It
was considered for a Grammy.
Okay, but you have to download the music and listen to it.
It was considered for a Grammy nomination. Thank you very much.
But yes, man, I know it was something with a Grammy. My personal favorite song, I got two. Okay, I got three. My personal favorites of Rose-Colored Glasses, I Can't Without You, and Anymore. And if you're unfamiliar with those three songs, when we get off of here, y'all go listen to them. And you're welcome. You're welcome. Thank you, Teresa Griffin. Tea Time every Tuesday, every Thursday on Facebook and on Instagram, 6 p.m. Central Standard Time. Y'all can watch her. She's a great cook. She's from Louisiana. You know all them bitches from Louisiana know how to cook and put voodoo on you. Bye,
That's why my neck is fat.
Bye.
Love you, Teresa.
Love you.
Listen. So we got to talk about the subject that I had you guys do your homework for, because our time is moving on. And I want to talk about the subject of, how do I say it? Okay, so
be gentle now.
I am. There's a transgender couple, trans man and a trans woman.
Mm-hmm.
And
they're married.
They're married, and they have they had a baby. Now, that's not even the issue, because it was very heterosex to have the baby, but the trans man was had in vitro fertilization because they were having issues, because they both stopped taking hormones so they could have a successful, a healthy baby. But the state of Illinois listed the trans man as the father and the trans woman as the mother, right?
Mm-hmm.
Even though the trans man was the one who actually had and carried the baby. So technically, the trans man is biologically the mother, even though not on the paper. And the trans mother is actually the father, but not on paper.
Mm-hmm.
So we want you guys to weigh in and tell us what you think about that. Maybe I didn't explain it the best. I'll let Lauren do that part.
I'm going to add some names in.
Because I'm just trying to ABC it for you guys, because I know somebody's like, what? Who?
Yes. So to kind of just break it down a little bit, there was a transgender couple, married couple in Chicago. The transgender man, his name is Miles
mm-hmm.
Brody Davis, and the trans woman's name is Brady Davis. And they decided that they were going to get married and they wanted to start a family.
Mm-hmm.
So because of that, like Flame said, they decided to do in vitro. And the trans man, Miles, ended up carrying the baby because, like he said on his TLC special, he was, provided the equipment. So they made the decision to have Miles carry the baby, and Precious was just very supportive throughout the whole process. They actually ended up having a TLC special called My Pregnant Husband. And Flame, I sent you the Entertainment Tonight interview that they did. But I think this is something interesting that we can talk about, because Flame, you are a father.
I'm a transgender father.
You are a transgender father.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that there were some different perspectives here. And we can let the Flamettes know, too, that Precious and I actually we were talking between yesterday and today because
mm-hmm.
we wanted them to come on the show and kind of explain their side of their experience. And then we can kind of have an open dialogue to see if there's similarities, differences, and perspectives or what have you. They weren't able to, but we're going to see if we can coordinate a separate time to maybe have them come on here. But Flame, you had some, really transparent thoughts that I think would be interesting for our viewers.
Well, because I got some inboxes about it when I brought up the subject the other day on Coffee Time, and someone said, "Well, Flame, isn't that the same scenario as you and your baby mama or your, Absolutely not, because I'm transgender and my baby mama identifies as transgender. But I've always been my children's father, and she has always been their mother. Do you understand what I mean? So that's the difference. So this kid will be raised that the father is the mother, the actual mother is who is now the father, and the actual father who is now the mother. I have no discrepancies about it. I think it's great. I think it's wonderful to have family. I think it's wonderful for love. I've always wanted my own children. I think the difference is that I'm thinking that my only fear, and it's not a fear that I should even be concerned about because it's not my damn business for real, but what if the couple don't stay together, and then will the child be left so-called, and the trans woman decides that she don't want to be a part of the relationship? Because, you know, sometimes breakups are very bitter. I have a very bitter breakup. So sometimes they don't want to interact, but my children always knew that was their mom, and I never tried to keep it. What if the one person decides that they don't want to be involved? So would the child be left motherless or fatherless? That was the question I was asking. And I may not be saying it correctly. I promise you I'm not trying to incite anybody. I'm not enraged. I'm not angry. I'm very happy for this couple. But I'm just asking a question on the outside looking in, because I'm kind of dumbfounded about the situation myself. And since I don't know, we will talk about this. So bring some folks on, Lauren Hogan, because it's a lot. What do you think, by the way?
I mean,
and they're a beautiful couple. Let me say that.
My thing is this: I'm not trans, so I can't necessarily. Really? Whatever.
I could have sworn I saw.
So I can't. I don't feel like I can fully speak to that experience because it's not mine. But at the same time, I will say that, you know, I don't think there's anything wrong with what you're asking or posing, because in a way you're kind of playing devil's advocate. And in a lot of ways in my life, I do kind of, you know, operate that way. I think it's always good to play worst case scenario, because you just never know what's going to happen. So that's been your experience, is, you know, you were with someone, you know, you guys were both a trans couple, you guys had a baby together, and you guys parted ways. And because of that, you're thinking, okay, this could be the similar situation. And there's other elements to is where the, you know, the trans man was listed as the father on the birth certificate, the trans woman's listed as mother. So I think that your question is very valid. And that's all I'm really speak to, because like I said, it's not my experience, so I don't want to offend anybody.
And for the record, I didn't stop taking hormones because I wasn't taking them. Definitely not that one. And I know, and I did not I did not have to do in vitro fertilization, because everything worked.
It was just like that.
It was the old-fashioned way. But I really am intrigued to know because I watched my children, and I'm telling you, my children were broken not having their mother. Let me say that now, and I can say this publicly. I've seen my children want and long for their mother, and sometimes she was just not in a place that I wanted them around her. So I didn't try to shield them, keep them from her. I tried to shield them from her, because I knew where it would go or how it would end up. And sometimes it really did that. But they had to experience that. That's all I'm saying. If they break up, will the trans woman, who's the mother, who represents the mother, you know, stay involved in life? And I'm speaking from a trans woman point of view. We are selfish. We want what we want. And if I ain't had to have no kids, there's been many days I went in my bathroom, and I am their father, and I identify as their father, even though I dress up like a woman to work. I have went in the bathroom like, good God, I could have chose something else. I could have had a VA. But I stayed. You know, everybody does not have that capacity to deal with that. And that's what I'm asking.
So,
hi,
hello, Bobby Clifford. Hi. I know that was a lot, but share with us, please, your thoughts.
So I'm taking it all in because it was great information. But if I can step back and look in, to me, I think their experience is going to be like every other child who has parents that broke up. The parent who takes the child hopefully will be like you, Flame, involved, something that they want, and be, you know, an active participant. I think it'll be unfortunate, but I don't see how it will be different.
Some of my trans sisters, I'm about to lose y'all on this one. And I love you to death. And in respect of biologically born women, my grandmother has always said, and I'm going to say it publicly again, that the difference between, because, you know, trans women love to, we love to holler, we're real women, and you can be a real woman, you can feel like a real woman, whatever. But my grandmother would always say, and I believe this, I watch her tell my aunties this, the difference between a man and a woman is a woman's heart and mind. A woman's a man's loyalty will never stand the test of a woman's loyalty. That's the woman's plus and her minus, because you get loyal to a person and you stay in longer than you're supposed to. And when it's done, when a woman is done, she walks away. But she will still always have love for her kid. A man can say, I'm out. And from the man perspective of me, because it's he, she, we. From the man in me, I've seen it happen. I've walked away from some things. Not my children, but I've walked away from things, and I never looked back. And I knew I was wrong for walking away from certain things. And this is what I'm saying. Will they still stay involved for the child, Bobby? And I know I'm saying it confusing. I know it sounds confusing.
No, you're not confusing to me. I think I still think the kids are at the same advantage or disadvantage of heterosexual couple or anything else. I can tell you, I'm a single parent. My son's father left at 5. He just left, But so these kids, well, whether they stay with the what we're calling the mom or their dad, as long as there's one participating parent, I think they're going to be the same as everybody else, good or bad, whatever, however you want to look at that.
I think they're going to be loved unconditionally, and they're going to know to treat people with respect and with clarity, because their parent is different. My kids know that, because I'm such a different looking person, that they treat people like with respect, and and they're cordial. So the love will be there. Because they made history, because Miles was the first trans man to be listed as the father on the birth certificate in the state of Illinois.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I think that's great. And I also think that I would not have, I'm trying to think of the expression you used way back when you said I wasn't one of those girls. Miles is one of those guys. I never in a million years would have thought that he wasn't from birth a man. His voice, his cadence, the way he just carries himself. So yeah, that was because I watched all the interviews. I did all my homework, everybody. I'm a good student.
You're very good. You get an A.
Thank you. And they were talking about, I don't know if the two of you saw the interview where he actually was pulled over while they were shopping for baby clothes or shopping for clothes the day of the shower. And I thought, oh, I don't know. I thought that was tricky, because I have to say, if I could, again, looking from the outside looking in, now I don't know about, there were 5 cops or something, that piece I didn't understand. But if I saw a guy that was built like him, tall, lean, and all of a sudden with this big, pouch out front, I don't know if I would have thought there was something going on. And also one of the interviews that I saw, and I wish there was more clarification, I'm sorry, that's the puppy barking. It sounded like the woman who had lifted his shirt apologized and felt terrible. That's what I got from that. And I thought that was nice. That was a good response. I think it was an over exaggeration of what they needed for a shoplifter.
I agree.
Well, to the naked eye, to your point, Bobby, to the naked eye, for somebody who does not understand trans, they would have been baffled. I'm sure whoever the police officer was baffled, because, like you said, Miles is exceptionally convincing. That we have some beautiful trans men out here. Miles is one of the ones that you just don't know. So to think that you're actually looking at a man and he tells you that he's pregnant, of course you're gonna be like, yeah, right. Trying to get out of a ticket.
I would. I have to exactly. Yeah. That's exactly. And I would have felt like 2 cents, but I absolutely. I felt badly that had to happen just before the shower. I'm telling you, I wanted the dog my whole life, and this guy, I'm ready to put him up.
Oh, he's fine. Oh, he's fine. I just don't want the child to ever be cheated out of having a mother.
No, and I
think that's what I'm saying.
I hear that.
I feel that in every circumstance with single parents. It's a lousy situation. It's a super lousy situation. I think if you spoke to my son, and I'm sure your kids, they would rather a 2-parent family or 2 people that were involved in it.
Well, technically, my kids got 3: he, she, and we. Hi, he, she, we.
He, she, we. This when we do our topics now, this is the he, she, we segment of the show when we engage with all of our Flamettes. Yeah. So he, she, we, continue.
Yeah, no. So I don't, but I had a tough time after listening to all the information. They are a lovely couple. They seem like they're in love. I knock wood that they're not the other side of the 50%. But I think that they both tried so hard for this baby. I don't know. I just don't see this particular couple. I can't say about all. If we're talking in generalities, I can't speak to it. But I think this couple, they'd remain as, co-parents. That's how I see
I've seen people on here saying they want to have another baby. So I think they're head over heels in love. I think they're madly in love.
I do too.
Is great. And I know plenty of trans women who have children. I'm talking about trans women who that don't engage with their children, don't see their children, don't do anything for their children, but love to scream that they have children. And I'm not speaking to anyone personally, but I know plenty of my trans sisters that do have kids and don't do nothing with or for their children. This is what I'm saying. So I think it's great.
Plenty of parents in general. I know a lot of. I don't want to just say guys.
And if I said my trans women sisters, believe me, you ain't got to say guys. I'm saying y'all be mad at me. You know I don't give a damn.
Oh, I wasn't saying. I'm just saying my experience. There's plenty of them when they want credit. Oh, look at my kid, but
What's the old joke that women used to say? If you want to chase a man away, tell him that you're pregnant, baby.
Yeah, sure.
Oh, that's a good one.
That's an old baby.
Well, thank you so much, Bobby.
What happened?
Thank you, Bobby.
Thank you so much, Bobby.
Bye.
We
Thank
appreciate
you.
Bobby is in
Had a great
Boston.
time.
Thank you, Bobby.
You too.
Thank
Wow, that is it baffles me that I didn't know that police story. Could you imagine that? The police pulling her over. Pulling him over.
So the story is that Miles was actually in a store and was doing some last minute shopping for the baby shower. And as he was leaving the store, he was surrounded by all these police officers and was like screaming, "Please be gentle, please be gentle. I'm 8 months pregnant." And what I also saw too, part of the special, he was having some complications because he had a thin cervix. So he was at risk of losing the baby. So it was all of that. And he was like, please be gentle. I'm pregnant.
And of course, they didn't believe me. Hello, gorgeous Michelle.
Hi.
Hello, sweetie. Hi, how are you?
I saw you all in the comments. I was like, we got to bring Michelle in here.
I know. Let me just turn my telly down.
You loud. Okay, there you go. You got that.
Yeah, no, turn my TV down. Yeah, I saw the interview, but also they are a lovely couple, let me just say. And I have nothing against trans couples, but my issue is that he had the baby and obviously he was a she and she was a he. I get all that, I get all that in the relationship. But my thing is, when they went to register the baby, I have an issue because even though he's a trans man, he still carried the baby, therefore he still had a womb. So in my opinion, my personal opinion is, if you still have a womb, you're still a woman to that effect because you carried the baby, because there's nowhere on this planet any man has actually carried a baby and carried a baby to term and had a baby. I think there was one man where I think they said he tried to, but I think he died actually. There was one story about some man back in the day tried to have a baby, but it didn't work out. But my issue is just the fact that you can be trans, you can be in a loving couple, in a loving relationship. I just think that when, the registration part of it, I think it's a bit confusing. You can live as a trans couple, but at the end of the day, he still had a womb, which therefore made him able to carry the baby. I am a woman. If I go cut my hair off tomorrow and put jeans on and start taking hormone tablets, I'm still a woman if I don't have any surgery. And even if I have surgery, I doubt I'd even be able to carry a baby. That's just my opinion on that part of it. Their relationship and being able to raise a kid, they'll be like every other normal couple. Man, woman, doesn't really, dog, cat, it doesn't really matter. But I just believe that issue just kind of got to me when, that registration part, because I just think it's a bit confusing. I also think in society, we get to the point where we're letting so many issues in life take precedent over, an issue, and then it becomes the norm. I know, we all have to evolve as society and everyone has to be equal, but I think, there comes a point where we are messing with society as a whole because, man is man, woman has children. If it then becomes later on where men can actually have babies, I would change my stance. But as it stands in this 21st century, men cannot have babies. So therefore, only with the registration of the birth certificate part of their story, I disagree. He should have put him as the mother and she could still be the father because they are biologically the parents of the baby.
Well, let me ask you this, Michelle. Would it be different if there was a way to identify as a trans father on the birth certificate? Would you have the same point of view?
That's a good point, Lauren.
Yeah, well, again, I know my perspective would change because then legally it would already have it on the documentation. He was a trans male. So by common sense, your mother was still a woman, but on the paper it'd still be a trans male. There's some definition because you don't know how the child's going to feel later on down the road in life. A lot of these issues that we tend to be put in as rights now in society, we don't know how it's going to affect us down the line. I'm from kind of Flamettes. I'm 53. So I was there in the 80s and the 90s, when it was just gay and lesbian. There was none of the, they had drag queens. They didn't even have trans. I'm talking about in England. Then slowly in the late 80s into the 90s, we got trans, we got gay, we got bisexual, It's not necessarily about this discussion. It's not necessarily about, your sexual orientation. But I'm just saying there's so many labels now. Everything is getting confused. And I'm not a Christian. I'm not one of these, man shouldn't be with man and woman. Everyone love who you love. I believe that you love who you love. But at the same time, the core basis, I think sometimes we are just getting a bit muddled and it's getting a bit dirty in society. That's all it is.
Wow.
So, yeah,
and Michelle is over. Michelle is in England. She giving us all the UK. That's our British correspondent over there. Hello.
And can I just say, in England, we had the same situation. We had 2 trans women. They obviously were men, but they were 2 trans women. So that means they were women, they dressed as men. And one of them, who now have 2 children, had a baby. And in our papers, we reported it over here as the first man to have a baby. But she was still a woman. They both had their wombs. None of them had corrective surgery. So they were both still women, but they dressed as men. They had beards. They took hormone replacements, but they were still able to carry babies. There was a big issue about that over here, and that was a good few years ago. And now they've got 2 children. Nothing, again, wrong with them raising their kids. No one's saying, oh, it's wrong, they shouldn't have the children. But again, it's always an issue of contention, because if a trans man has has a baby, is he a woman? Is he still a woman with his womb? And I think if you have your womb, you are still a woman. Flame is there sitting next to you. We know Flame has his breast, but he also has his man part. So at the end of the day... But you see, again, with Flame now, we know he is the he, she, we. That's different. He's already put out there his gender differentiation. Do you know what I mean? There's he, there's she, and there's we. When you want to be trans and then you're telling me I'm a man but I'm having a baby, in my mind you're still a woman, but you can be a trans man. I know a lot of people are not going to be happy with what I'm saying, but that's just my opinion. That's all it is when it comes to
I know,
a baby.
We want to have an exchange of information, because
my point is just for when they want to, you can have babies, you can have them naturally, you can adopt, you can have them any way you want to get, given them. It's just that little thing when they put it on the birth certificate, maybe that needs to be changed in the future. But again, I don't want it to be a case where we start changing all the boxes on the sheets. It's a non-gender specific parent, it's a this parent, it's a that parent. I don't want the boxes to be so many bloody boxes on paper. It's gone from just being mum and dad. Do you know what I mean?
that is a lot, Michelle, but
I know, sorry.
But it's great. It was a great perspective, and I would love what Lauren said. I never thought about that, Lauren. If they would have put trans mother, trans father, on the birth certificate, because let me tell you something. And I'm praying that things work out. I hope y'all be together and be married and stay together for 100 years. And I'm not even talking about this couple now. I'm just talking about in case this ever happens with another couple. Let me just use another couple for instance. If I went to court and the mother gets all the rights in court, let me tell you something. The mama can pretty much be a crackhead smoking a pipe in court and turning a trick. And depending on the judge, father's rights are not very great in this country. The mother gets all the rights because they feel like because the mother carried and had the baby, that is 80% the mother's baby. That I'm telling you what the court system does. And especially when you look different. I'm trans. I had to go to court over and over and over and over to explain who I was in my children's lives in order to get custody of them. But I was always listed as the father. Do you know if a judge sees that who's unfamiliar with something like this, what they're going to be thinking? Like, what? I'm not going to give this child to you because I'm afraid you're going to turn, because you know how they think about trans people and gay people. You're going to turn them into you. Nothing compared to be the truth for my kids because they don't even like me like that. I definitely know they don't want to be like me. But imagine a naked eye, just like those police. You pull up on a man and he say he pregnant. It's a lot of fat men out here with big stomachs. But you know they're not pregnant, so it is like you said, Michelle. It's muddy in the waters. It's such a gray area that it's scary.
Yeah. I mean, you would. Sorry, Lauren, go on.
No. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, like you said, muddy. We just have to kind of see how things go further down the line. Everything takes a bit of time for evolution. So we may get that box on the birth certificate registration form. soon, who knows? But I just don't want it to get a bit crazy out there with the too many boxes, too many labels, and again, nothing with their parenting. They're going to be lovely parents, and what happens in the future happens in the future. It's just for the fact of that little thing when I heard about the registration that really kind of got to me a little bit, much.
Thank you, my beautiful
we appreciate
Michelle.
you, Michelle. Thank
you.
Much.
No worries. Thank you.
I don't know what about y'all check, but since I was a kid, I have always checked other. You know how they have male, female, other?
You have.
I always have checked other, even when I was a young kid, because, I was always a strange bitch. Mm-hmm. I've always checked other.
Well, I mean, this is what I'll say. I just want to clarify that we're not trying to deny anybody's experience or what's happening. That's not what we're doing. We're simply here to have an exchange of information because Flame thought this was an interesting topic. We haven't really had any LGBTQ topics on the show, and we thought that this was a good one to have. So now, hello, Miss Fantasia.
Hi. I was afraid to come on because I'm not at home, so I hope my Wi-Fi is fine. Y'all can hear me?
You look great, and we can hear
I'm gonna
you.
need you to take that mask off. It look like you got a beard. Girl, you look like you're a damn Iranian.
I'm the bearded woman.
Oh.
So what are your thoughts, Fantasia, on this topic?
My thoughts on that topic is I completely agree with Michelle, and I completely agree with Flame. However, to each his own, and they are all entitled to the parents are entitled to their opinion on how they want their documentation noted. But it makes me come back to an experience, a very unfortunate situation in my life, which was like a life-altering experience. I was in a ambulance, losing lots of blood. It's a long story. Anyway, I remember that the doctor asking me, "Are you on your period, ma'am?" And I was like, "Oh no." I said, "I'm trans." So once I told him I was trans, he knew that technically I was male. I'm not a physician by no means at all, but this is someone in an ambulance who was being rushed to the hospital to save my life. So whatever they needed for that male, that's what he had to grab in order to take care of whatever he needed to take care of. And as far as documentation is concerned, I think that those type of things should be corrected. If you got a skeletal body from an airplane, you want to know this is a male and this is a female. Again, to each its own, and that's their opinion, and that's what makes them happy. And I'm fine with all of that, and I'm not against it. But in my personal opinion, I don't agree with it. Just like I always instill in my nieces and nephews to call me Uncle Buddy, which is what they do, despite of how I look. So that's my opinion on all of that.
And this is coming from my trans sister. She also did the background. She made the.
Thank you, Fantasia.
But Fantasia, thank you. And hear me clearly, Fantasia. And Fantasia is pro-trans sister. She's pro for the girls. If you follow her page, Fantasia Lamour, you'll see she always speaks very highly of our trans sisters and brothers. This is not a tear down. I'm telling you, we are so ignorant to the fact that it's not confusing to me, but I want to learn more about it. So we're having a conversation so that we can all learn more about it, because so somebody on here who's on the outside looking in will know, oh, now I understand if ever this scenario, shows up in your life. That's all I'm saying.
Right.
Yeah.
And I can understand where people on the outside looking in, where it can be confusing, because me as a trans woman of color, it's a little confusing to me when I heard the story. But I still, like I said earlier, I agree with how they want to feel about it. But at the end of the day, documentation, in my personal opinion, I feel should be corrected to the actual born gender.
Yeah.
Well, and that's the interesting piece too. I will say that as well, because baby Zane was born. That's the name of their child. And they actually are identifying the baby as a her. And that was part of the conversation that they had, that why did you choose to give the baby, a gender identity considering what your experience was? And they basically said, well, that was what she was born as, so we're going to call her a she for now. But if later on in life she makes a decision that she wants to be trans or whatever, she may identify as, that they were going to honor that. But I thought that was interesting too, is that despite their experience, they decided to give the baby, gender assignment at birth.
She was born with a vagina.
Yes. So the baby is a girl.
She's definitely a little girl.
Yeah.
There is definitely, let me tell you something. I didn't pass biology with nothing but a C, but I know that flats don't look like sticks. Now, you can knock it off with all that other shit. I know that flats don't look like sticks, period. We love you, Fantasia.
Yes, thank you
for
so
the
much.
You got to finish it, girl. Bye.
Okay, I will.
See, and this is what I'm talking about. We are trans people, which Fantasia and I. So, and we are, trying to learn. We're trying to. I love what you said, Lauren. I never thought about that. I thought that was great to say that if it was listed as trans father, and trans mother, at least it would be kind of self-explanatory if something ever happened, like medically or physically. That was pretty good. Hi, Nick. We back.
Hey,
Hi,
guys.
James.
Only one thing I want to comment on that Michelle said. Flame, you're going to remember this because she was talking about how there really wasn't the whole trans thing until the 70s, 80s. Flame, you'll remember Miss, I forget her name. I want to say Tula. Was that her name, Flame? Remember?
Yes.
She was gorgeous. And this is Phil Donahue. Flame and I are old heads when it comes to like the talk shows.
I'm 30, nigga. Hold that to your damn self.
We both, one of the reasons Flame and I connected immediately is because we both love Phil Donahue. And we that's just one of the many things we had in common. And I'll never forget, Phil Donahue had a woman on the show named, Flame, you got to help me. It's either Tula or Tallulah or something like that.
It was Tula.
Tula. And she was a James Bond girl. She was, the sisters have been out there for a while, for a long time.
And we had a model that was for Ebony magazine or Vogue, a black woman, Tracy somebody or another. She was the first black trans, and somebody outed her. See, because you could live there. So the titles and labels that you all are putting on here is not new. You're making up new names. Right. But the situations have been the same for hundreds of years. You're just giving it new labels and new titles. Did y'all hear my song, Ain't No Labels to This He, She, We? Ain't no labels. Remove the labels and understand that you live in a country and we live in a world, for the most part, if you live in the free parts of the world, that you can, as long as you have the tenacity and the due diligence and the due diligence and the wherewithal, you can live whatever life you choose or identify as respectfully, but you don't have to walk around and broadcast it, because I don't think that you can have it both ways. Imagine Miles, who is exceptionally convincing. We're using him, walking around telling everybody, oh, I'm a woman, I'm a woman, I'm a woman. Who would understand that? So I get the identity thing with that. I'm just on the page of the birth certificate because it's going to read male. And later in life, if somebody who is ignorant to the fact and something happens to the baby and Miles shows up and say, I'm the baby's father and woo, 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 and then we need some blood, because your blood would show that you're male or female, because the blood don't change. You can change all the exterior, but the blood don't change. Well, we need blood from the kid's mom. Well, I am the kid. Do you come out and say I'm the kid's mom after walking around the whole time saying I'm the kid's father? That's the scenario I'm talking about. That's all.
I do want to interject really quickly, since we're having this topic around, the trans community, and it's Black History Month. We would be remiss if we didn't acknowledge Miss Marsha P. Johnson, who started this movement.
Wow, Lauren,
and the trans movement. So I think we would be remiss if we didn't acknowledge her and thank her for all of her accomplishments of what she did.
Very one of my moves.
One of the first.
Very one of my moves. Here with a brick. Very one of my moves.
She's like Marsha is like the personification of New York too. And
yes.
Our New York brothers and sisters they're very they're active. Yes, absolutely.
That was very nice of you to say. They're active.
They're
yes.
active.
And this was what, late 60s, early 70s?
Yeah. Stonewall, yeah.
And Marsha P. Johnson was not the most convincing trans. She looked
not at all.
My joke when I say she looked like Herbert with a wig on. Marsha P. Johnson, may she rest in peace for all that she did. She did look like Herbert with a wig on. She looked like
Malcolm. Well, she was Malcolm.
But she stood in her conviction and believed who she was on everything. And this is a lot of what it is. You got to believe and know who you are. What is looking back at you in the mirror when you look back at the mirror? We say this all the time. You have to come to Love Lounge and Coffee Time. Y'all be missing out. Come on, Lauren, baby. See, Lauren, this is my baby. I told y'all she was a fruit fly. See how she remembered the training? I love her, Lauren.
I have grown up around gay people all my life. And, like I said, everybody should have a gay best friend. Your life's not complete unless you have one. So.
That's
how I feel.
No, I hear you, but if Flame's gonna be the one, you got a best friend, a mother, a bodyguard, all of it tied into one. So because Flame walks around with hand jewelry. Just letting you know. So
hand jewelry, yes. Mm-hmm. We support it. We support the hand jewelry.
Got it in the garage right now, just in case Lauren or Kendall get out of hand. Look. Nicholas,
my mama's on this page before you threaten me. I'm just kidding.
Miss Marsha, she stole your tablet. We on your tablet. You don't even know it's gone. Ooh, look. Nicholas, so let me tell y'all God the honest truth. So when Nick and I first discussed this topic, Nick thought that I was on a campaign to bash or not be nice. So Nick and I actually had not words, but a disagreement. I'm telling the truth, Nicholas, because this is our page. This is what we do. Because Nick was like, well, Flame, I don't want you to attack. Because I was never on the attack. And so yesterday, Nick and I talked about it. And I told Nick that I see it. And I because I watched what you sent me.
Mm-hmm.
And I see it. But when Lauren brought up the point about the trans father or trans mother, Nick, we keep fighting for rights. Don't you think that will be fair? Because like we were talking about when they want to have all the wrestling stuff and all the sports, where they put the trans women against the regular women and the trans men against the straight men, we should create that. So should they start birth certificates that say trans men and a trans male, trans female? And tell them about our disagreement, Nicholas, about the whole subject. Please do.
I was like, y'all fighting? What?
Nicholas saying.
The deal is, Flame and I disagree on a lot of stuff, but we always talk it through. What Flame always does with me, and I think that's one of the reasons why we're as close as we are. Flame we can always talk it out. Like, I've never been in a space where I felt judged by Flame. Flame is going to say what Flame got to say. And I think Flame, in a lot of ways, is like my mother. My mother and Flame, they walk in, after they get through boxing your head against the wall, they're like, you okay, baby? I didn't mean to hurt you. I'm like,
you want a sandwich?
you hungry? You're like, what just happened? And so that's what it was. But yeah, we had disagreed because I think I walk into things with the guard up and emotion. Oh, you can't do that.
Yeah.
Blah, 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 blah. And Flame was like, that's not what I'm doing. Calm down, bring it down. Let me tell you, as a parent, who lives this life and walks in this body, let me tell you about my experience, and this is what I fear. And so, Flame, we talked about it through the weekend, and then yesterday, we literally, it was like we had a come to Jesus moment, And one of the things I think that is most important about this, Flame, and this is why I continue to be excited about Laugh and Learn, is that when you, Lauren, and I have our conversations about what we're going to talk about, we always make it so that we can include the Flamettes, because we really do have some of the most informed, engaged, intelligent people. Debbie's comments, Barbara's comment earlier in Boston, everybody brought something to the table, and we all have questions. I don't think it's wrong to sit there and say, the world is changing, so we've got to find a way for everyone to have access to the same rights and same opportunities. Just that
Agree.
simple.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that we're all still trying to figure out what that means. I don't know that I'm at a space where, you touched on it. I don't know that I'm at a space where I feel like trans athletes should compete with athletes born of a different gender. I don't know but again, fortunately, I'm not in a position where I have to make that decision. But I think it's something that is worthy of closer examination. As far as the birth certificate, and I will just close on this. I think my issue with the birth certificate was this. I think that the birth certificate, in my opinion, is less about the parent and more about the child. And I felt as though that child should be in a situation where that child isn't necessarily outed as having a parent who is trans to those who may not need to know that information. I would want that birth certificate to simply say mom, dad. And if that's how my mom, dad presented when they came to pick me up from the school or took me for my exam, that's what I would rather, instead of having a situation where now I've turned in my birth certificate to play football or wrestle like I did. And now, well, wait a minute. Why does it say trans? What kind of parents you got? Kids are, when I was growing up, kids were vicious.
They ain't changed. They still mean as shit.
Yeah.
So I feel like that anonymity should be afforded to the child at all costs until that child is old enough, like Flame's kids who sit there and say, "Oh, I know you ain't got nothing to say about my." Hold up, what? Because that's her. You know what I'm saying there. Everyone is not going to be as comfortable, I feel, as Flame is, and that's just where I am with that.
Well, I'll say this. In a lot of ways, I've always said this: Flame is an anomaly in the trans community.
Absolutely.
That's how I feel.
Absolutely.
So, but I think that's also too why this discussion was so warranted, because I was curious to see if Flame's opinion was going to be different from other people. And I also too just want to reiterate, because Nick, I don't know if you were able to see this part, but Precious and I actually had a dialogue. We had an exchange. I reached out to her to see if she and Miles wanted to come on the show. Schedules didn't align up, but she still wants to come on the show and share their story, which I think could be a great conversation in general, especially with the two different experiences and perspectives from Flame and them as well.
And
So
Lauren, would you hit it again, because you said it, but I want to make sure we reiterate. We love and celebrate what this couple is doing.
absolutely,
Never
we're not denying anybody's experience. I think that they have beautiful Black love. I even saw Precious's episode on Say Yes to the Dress when she was getting married to Miles. So I think we're not denying anybody's experience or saying anything negative about it. It's just an exchange of information, because we need to learn more, and we need to have these open forums and conversations so that way it brings down the wall of stigma, so people have better understanding and less ignorance in their life. That's what
I've said
is.
it before, and I'll say this again, and I know we've got to wrap up, but I just wish more people knew the amazing father you are. And I just say that because I grew up in a house of love. I grew up in a house of love.
The hell with them kids. They spend all my damn money and
I never questioned my mother's love. I never questioned that I was supported. I was encouraged to do everything. I've watched you when they switched from ballet. Oh, she's still doing ballet, Nick? She's done with that. Boy, she's doing gymnastics now. She's done with that too. And I remember going through clarinet, no clarinet, wrestling, football. Having a parent always in your corner. I'm telling you.
And that is what is most important. And because both of those two people, that couple is trans, they're going to have a lot of experiences that they grew up in, identifying with who they are. So they're going to teach this kid a lot of love. They're going to show this kid a lot of people are different, but you still love people for whom they are. So that's going to be the beautiful part of it. It was never a dispute. But this conversation will help somebody, because somebody who's watching this show today will go and tell their police officer husband or their judge wife or their son who's on the basketball team who's harassing somebody else that people are different, and they will help them to understand it just because we're having a conversation about it. So we won't walk into another pregnant man and nobody believes it, because you'll be like, oh, my mom told me they was watching Laugh and Learn, and they explained that really can happen, because it really can happen. Now, Michelle, that shit you said about when men can have babies, understand, I'm trying to get my shit back. I ain't have no goddamn babies. I ain't doing nothing to have no baby. I'm doing the front part, but the back part, we're going to leave that alone.
Oh, my God. And may I just say, too, because people weren't here last week, Flame, you were fantastic on 5150. I really enjoyed you.
Ooh,
so those who have not seen it should check that out.
And then go to just type in my name, because they made videos about me tearing me apart. It's hilarious.
Listen, it's people doing some clout chasing crap, and it screams desperation. But it's a good key if you want to go laugh.
Lauren, I'm with you. I said to Flame, who has the time? We have to schedule time just to do this. Who has the time to do a show based on what somebody else is doing and then talk about it in full? I'm like, who are you? Like that's a lot of effort for a lot of hate.
Sounding like he was having an asthma attack the whole time. I was more so concerned about bro's health. I'm just saying.
You ain't heard me. What? Okay. Oh my God.
He said I was funny looking. I like to see him. So I can say, nigga, when the last time you had someone without $30 in your hand? In fact, when you gonna drop them two kids you care? Now, speaking of pregnant men, the one that made the video about me, yeah, he's a biological man, but that nigga damn sure look pregnant. I said what I said, y'all. Y'all gotta see it. I don't want y'all to build up his subscribers, so don't go watch it.
We're not gonna say who the person's name is.
Love Lounge is tonight. Love Lounge tonight between 6:30 and 7. I want you guys to join me. And next Sunday, we're doing Laugh and Learn next Sunday. Because the schedule changing. Guess who's going to be in studio next Sunday, y'all?
Tell them.
Nick Smith News will be in the studio next Sunday. Nick will be sitting right here with us. I didn't even know that.
Right. Because Flame can't keep a secret.
Don't tell me no. You go surprise
I ain't tell you all about that contract Friday. Anywho, so Nick will be here, and our very special guest who has a new show coming on, because this is my, this my sister. We are in this together, and I'm so proud of T.S. Madison. She will be joining us next Sunday for a very special Laugh and Learn. She has a new show coming out on the WeTV network called The T.S. Madison Experience. It airs March 4th at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 10 p.m. East Coast time, and we want you guys to watch it. Me and Maddie and Lauren and Nick gonna go for it. I don't even know if they're gonna get a word in, because two loud ass trannies talk, y'all might not get a chance to say shit. So please be here for the conversation. It's going to be great. I'm sure that the Maddie Mob will be here and the Flamettes, and what you do in this business is you share your fans, you share your people, because other people reach out to other people, and then other people, and a closed fist does what, Lauren? Nothing go out.
Oh,
Don't nothing
okay. I
come
was
in.
like, ooh, what?
I caught Lauren off
Wait a
guard with
minute. I
that.
was like,
She
what?
failed her test today. She don't get no A, Miss Bobby. You got the only A.
Sorry.
It goes out. You got to share your fans. You got to share your light because there is no one number one person. There is 5 million number one persons. If you see that. Plus, we do different things and we still girlfriends. So y'all be here with us next week because Big Maddie coming on, giving it to y'all. We're going to give it to you in the raw. I'm going to see who can show the most titties. Me or Maddie.
And Nick, what can we just say? And what is the purpose of Laugh and Learn? Always.
Always, always. We are not trying to get anybody to change their mind.
We are just trying to get you guys to use your mind.
But you got to have one in order to do it because some of y'all ain't got one. Y'all down there voting for Ted Cruz, all that dumb shit. Anywho, you can follow Nick Smith at Nick Smith News on YouTube or on Instagram. Those are his, or on Twitter.
All
Nick,
platforms.
one word, Nick Smith News. Some of y'all slow. How you smell Smith? How you spell with an I, not with a Y, with an I. Nick Smith News. You can follow Lauren Hogan at Lauren Hogan on YouTube, Lauren Armani H on Instagram and or on Facebook. See, I'm professional
Right,
today.
you know
Come
the
on with it.
handles.
Hold on.
Okay.
Let me get on my camera stand. The hell with her. And you can follow Flame Monroe at Marcus Flame Monroe Parker on Facebook, Monroe Flame on Instagram, which is where y'all want to catch me on Love Lounge tonight because we're gonna be on fire. What else I got? Twitter, Flame _ Monroe, and YouTube, Flame Monroe. We appreciate you guys. Listen, Laugh and Learn would not be a show without the Flamettes, the Firecrackers, the Valchettes, we got plenty of names.
All of y'all.
All y'all asses. Listen, we appreciate you. And please follow Miles Davis. What's his name?
Oh, yes. Miles Brady Davis, excuse me, as well as Precious Brady Davis on Instagram. We actually ended up following each other, and then this topic came up. So
follow them. If you have questions that we can't answer, ask them respectfully. Please be respectful.
Don't be coming for nobody.
Don't be coming. Some Flame sent us here, and you going over there with that dumb shit. If you're going to use my name, use my name respectfully. Put some respect on my goddamn name.
Exactly.
Thank you to all who have weighed in today. Teresa Griffin, Fantasia Lamore, please follow them. Teresa Griffin, a great recording artist and my friend. We do shows together. She's a wonderful singer. Michelle over in London. Bobby Clifford, who's in Boston.
Boston.
Don't forget
Bobby
about
Clifford.
TT
Jan, we're going to buy that house.
I'm taking Bobby Clifford to dinner to my sister's restaurant next time in Boston. So I
love that.
Yep.
Look at Nick trying to smash the white lady. Why you trying
Flame, you know what, Lauren?
We love you. Bobby Clifford is mine. Bobby Clifford is mine. Thank you very much. She belongs to me. She paid me $10 every day. She almost to $1 million. When she gets to $1 million, girl, I'm all yours. Come get it. Come on, Bobby.
We will see you guys next week.
We love you guys. Thank you so much. Have a great evening. Bye.